December 2, 1805. On a frigid Moravian morning, the history of European warfare was rewritten. On the fields of Austerlitz, one name shone brighter than the sun breaking through the mist: Napoleon Bonaparte. Background: the Third Coalition and the road to Austerlitz. The Battle of Austerlitz, also known as the Battle of the Three Emperors, marked the peak of a conflict between the French Empire under Napoleon Bonaparte and the Third Coalition, an alliance between the Russian Empire under Tsar Alexander I and the Austrian Empire led by Emperor Franz II. The Third Coalition was formed in 1805 in response to Napoleon's growing power, especially after he declared himself Emperor of the French in 1804. Britain, Austria, and Russia united with the goal of halting his ambitions. But what they did not realize was that Napoleon was not merely defending his gains. He was planning a campaign to crush his enemies utterly. Following the swift French victory at Ulm and the capture of Vienna with little resistance, Napoleon concentrated his forces in Moravia. There he laid the foundation for a plan that would go down in history as a masterpiece of military strategy. The armies. Napoleon commanded roughly 68,000 seasoned troops of the Grande Armée, a force renowned for its discipline, speed, and cohesion. The opposing coalition mustered over 85,000 soldiers, led jointly by Tsar Alexander I, General Mikhail Kutuzov, and Emperor Franz II. However, numerical superiority does not guarantee victory. What truly matters is leadership and the art of war. Napoleon's plan: bait and trap. One of Napoleon's most brilliant maneuvers was his deliberate deception. He feigned weakness, retreating from strong positions near Brno and displaying vulnerability on his right flank. He even sent envoys offering peace, suggesting he was unsure of victory. The ruse worked. The coalition designed their main attack on Napoleon's seemingly exposed right flank. Their plan was to overwhelm it from the south and roll up the French line, but that was exactly what Napoleon wanted. The more they extended themselves, the more they abandoned the central high ground, the Pratzen Heights. December 2, 1805, the day of destiny. At dawn, the battlefield was wrapped in thick fog. As the coalition launched their main assault on the French right, fierce fighting broke out near the villages of Telnitz and Sokolnitz. Then Napoleon struck. With a firm command, he ordered Marshal Soult's Fourth Corps to seize the now vacant Pratzen Heights. This counterattack was the turning point of the battle. Soult's assault, executed with precision and speed, shocked the coalition. Their center was pierced and the wings became isolated from one another. In the chaos, Russian and Austrian units were unable to coordinate and momentum entirely swung in Napoleon's favor. The collapse of the coalition. With the Pratzen Heights secured, Napoleon unleashed a full-scale counteroffensive. The coalition forces, confused and disjointed, began a chaotic retreat. One of the most tragic moments occurred near the frozen lakes of Satschan. As hundreds of Russian soldiers attempted to flee across the ice, French artillery opened fire. The cannonballs shattered the ice, sending scores of men and horses plunging into the icy water below. After more than 9 hours of brutal combat, Napoleon stood victorious. His army had decisively defeated a numerically superior enemy. Aftermath and consequences. The Battle of Austerlitz effectively ended the Third Coalition. Austria was forced to sign the Treaty of Pressburg, surrendering large swaths of territory and paying massive reparations. Tsar Alexander I retreated to Russia with his battered army. The victory cemented Napoleon's dominance in Central Europe and triggered the formal dissolution of the Holy Roman Empire, a political entity that had stood for over a millennium. Militarily, Austerlitz became the gold standard for battlefield strategy. It remains a core study in military academies worldwide, showcasing the effectiveness of deception, timing, and terrain exploitation. Napoleon's brilliance, a strategic analysis. Historians universally regard Austerlitz as one of the greatest battles in history. Napoleon succeeded by 1. Controlling the tempo of battle, forcing his enemy to act on his terms. 2. Exploiting terrain, seizing the Pratzen Heights at the perfect moment. 3. Using weather and fog to his advantage, concealing movements and intentions. 4. Psychologically and tactically dividing the enemy, breaking their coordination and morale. The legacy of Austerlitz. Austerlitz was more than a military triumph. It was a symbol of Napoleonic supremacy. Napoleon himself considered it his finest hour. Every year he celebrated the anniversary of Austerlitz as a sacred day. Even in exile on the remote island of St. Helena, he recalled it with pride, stating, "I made the day of Austerlitz." The battle propelled his legend into the stratosphere. No longer just a general, he was now a living myth, an unstoppable force in the eyes of Europe. At Austerlitz, 3 emperors clashed. Only one walked away with glory: Napoleon Bonaparte, the master of war. Carved his name deep into history. But as with all great triumphs, the light of Austerlitz would one day fade.